Hello, everyone. This is Bill Padnes. I am the Director of Workforce Development for the Non-Ferrous Founder Society. Thank you very much for joining us. We have a great 20 to 30 minute little webinar for you right now to talk about a new member benefit for our members of the Non-Ferrous Founder Society. We fortunately have teamed up with what I think is the guru when it comes to workforce and manufacturing grants and opportunities that are available with Lakeview Consulting and especially with Mickey Vandeloo, who to me, as I said, is the foremost expert. You go to her website, you see she's almost speaking, weekly to associations and people.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking about this, and we're lucky to have her for the next, as I said, 20 to 30 minutes to provide an overview of what is going on right now with grants and opportunities. Things that do change on a daily basis right now with funding, especially right now going through a government shutdown, which maybe by the time you listen to this, that shutdown is over. But we will most likely talk a little bit about that for a second. But we'll do that. She'll give you the overview of what's happening. She'll show you how you can access their database of grant opportunities, which is a benefit to our members, and also talk about some best practices, but more importantly, provide you with how you can go ahead and start getting these grants and getting these monies and opportunities that are available to you. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you, Mickey, and you see also we both have our also AI note takers around as well. So it's the two of us plus AI that are involved right now in this webinar. So take it away, Mickey.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Hopefully we can do better than the AIs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm also hoping that by the time everybody's reading this or listening to it, that government shutdown's over, that's for sure. So, yeah, so I'm Mickey Vandeloo. I'm the president of Lakeview Consulting, and I'm really excited to be talking to all you members of the Non-Ferrous Founders Society today about grants, manufacturing grants, and to talk to you about this membership program that we've worked really hard with Bill and Jared to bring to your society. So let's get started. So today's agenda, this is going to be a pretty quick workshop. Like Bill said, 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to talk about grants. What are grants? What is the current grant landscape? And it even changed as of about 5 minutes before we recorded this. So, and then case study of a grant application that we wrote with one of the Non-Ferrous Founder Society members. And then we're going to talk about the membership grant program and its benefits and do a quick demo of the grants database, very easy to use. And then we're going to do a little bit of Q&A. So grants. Manufacturing grants are different from loans or tax credits in the fact that loans need to be repaid. Tax credits fund previous activities typically that have been done. Grants don't need to be repaid, and grants actually look forward. So grants cover what's going to happen, not what has happened. So grants are funding provided to achieve outcomes, whatever that funder wants to see, whether it be upskilling employees, whether it be exporting or attending overseas trade shows to grow your international footprint, anything from recycling, landfill diversion. All those things are outcomes or things that are going to change as a result of getting the funding. So if your project aligns with those outcomes, you can possibly get grant funding to offset whatever those projects costs are. It is also an agreement between the funder and the recipient. A lot of people fail to realize this. And there is one little note I would make about the first thing that I said, it doesn't need to be repaid. Because it is an agreement between the funder and the recipient, there you must do what you say you're going to do in that agreement. It is a contract. If you don't do what you say you're going to do, that funder has the right to claw back or take back part of that grant money. And you really don't want that. When we work with clients, if we start to see things going south with a project, then we actually will advise them to talk to the funder immediately. Don't wait, just call them and say, listen, we aren't going to train the number of people we said we were going to train. We're not going to do this exact investment. We're going to make a change to it. Because as we all know, and funders know as well, things change all the time in manufacturing. So, you know, from one day to the next, you can lose people, you can cancel projects, and funders know that, and they really want to work with you. So we always tell people to avoid having that clawback situation, call the funder, let them know, and then hopefully you can work something out with them. Like I said, grants fund project activities that start after the funding is approved. Lately, there's been a little bit of a change in state grants. State grants, some of them are allowing, for example, in Kentucky, there's a program called the Kentucky Catalyst Equipment Match Program, and it will actually fund equipment investments that happened after January 1st of 2025. A very similar thing happened in the state of Illinois when we worked with the other member of the NFFS. One of their members, when we worked with them, they could actually look back and fund some projects or some equipment purchases that had already happened. That's pretty rare still, but that is a change that is slowly happening because states are starting to realize that manufacturers don't have the luxury of necessarily waiting for a grant or a grant program to make these investments. So this is the way that they're dealing with that. Grants are typically reimbursements. So you spend the money and then you get reimbursed for the amount of the grant after you've proven that you've spent the money and did it in the way that you said you were going to do it. Grants range in size. Grants can be anywhere from $5,000 to $200,000, $300,000, even at the state levels anymore. Like Bill alluded to, it is a constantly changing landscape. 5 minutes before I got on this call, I got a notification from one of my team members, our researcher, that over 300 grants had been canceled by the Department of Energy. So every day we're hearing things, and not too much with that is tied to the government shutdown, although that will put even more delays on releasing grants because those federal departments have been shut down and are even more compromised than they were before the shutdown. Um, but mainly things happening because the administration has decided to roll back some of the Biden era incentives and is doing it in a big way. So over 300 grants canceled and many impacting manufacturers from the Department of Energy. Grants can be stacked. So grants actually can fund various parts of a project. So what we do is we work with we work with our clients to make sure that we identify all the parts of a project. So if you're putting in equipment, for example, you probably have the vendors probably doing some training on that equipment. So you can get a training grant for that. Maybe there's an equipment source of funding. So you get a grant through that, and those add up, and those can actually fund larger and larger portions of your project. You can also grants can also allow manufacturers to reallocate money to other projects. So I have a lot of manufacturers that come to me and say, listen, we're putting this huge equipment investment in, but their state doesn't have an equipment grant program. But if we can get a training grant for $50,000, that money then can be reallocated to the budget to purchase the equipment. So the current manufacturing grant landscape, manufacturing largely has been put on hold at the federal level for a couple of different reasons, and again, more exacerbated by the government shutdown. All federal grants had to go through an administrative review. That's not that unusual. Most new administrations have priorities, and they want to make sure that any federal funding that's put out there meets those priorities. The administrative review, however, under President Trump, the current president, has been much more extensive, removing DEI language, making sure that, clean energy is minimized. The One Big Beautiful Bill that was recently passed really takes out a lot of funding for traditional renewable energy. It does still fund things like carbon capture. There's still some funding for some clean energy and decarbonization projects, but not nearly the amount that were under President Biden. In addition, there's been a reduction in program staff. So, for example, the Department of Labor funds a lot of workforce development, large-scale workforce development programs, things like apprenticeships at the state level or large projects that are related to workforce development. And one of my partners that does apprenticeships lost literally every contact she had with the Department of Labor through the reduction in program staff that was done earlier this year. And in addition, programs such as REAP are being delayed. So the REAP funding is a Rural Energy for America uh, program, and that is USDA's renewable energy and energy efficiency funding that a lot of manufacturers apply for. Uh, it was supposed to be released October 1st, and it still has not been released. So my feeling is that we're probably now looking at a January release rather than an October release. And there will be only probably one quarter of that funding available this year as compared to 4 quarters in fiscal year 2025. So where can foundries find grants? If they can't find them at the federal level, they do absolutely need to look at the state level. So states have actually increased their support for manufacturing. There's been a number of equipment grants that have come out. There are some energy efficiency and renewable energy grants and tax credits from the states. Recycling grants are still very much out there, and training and apprenticeship grants. Almost every state has training grants, and many, many, many of the states have apprenticeship grants as well. Awards vary widely for those, again, ranging anywhere from five to in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. So here's some examples. One that Connecticut has is called the Cybersecurity Adoption Program. That program is designed to support Connecticut manufacturing companies that are working on their cybersecurity plans. So whether they're getting assessments, if they're getting a CMMC certification, the goal is to help meet federal cybersecurity requirements and improve the security of those manufacturers. So up to $10,000 can be used for a cyber assessment, and then the balance up to $35,000 in total. Can assist with both the assessments and the adoption of CMMC. Companies have to match that. That's not that unusual. Usually with grants, there is about a 50% match on any grant. A grant will not fund the entirety of a program. You find very few that do that don't require any kind of cost match. The reason for that is that funders really want to make sure that the applicant has some skin in the game, that they are supporting the project as equally with the funder. So as we all know, that's not that uncommon. When people are giving you money, typically they don't give you a loan for the entirety of a project. You have to have a down payment, or you have to have some sort of skin in the game for that as well. In Indiana, there's the employer training grant. And this is to address the need for skilled jobs in Indiana over the next 10 years. So this reimburses employers who train, hire, and retain newer incumbent workers to fill in-demand positions, which are typically STEM-related positions, things like machinists and maintenance people within recognized job fields. There's 6 priority sectors. Almost always advanced manufacturing is a priority sector for most states. And I believe that's the case with this Indiana employer training grant as well. And this grant reimburses employers up to $5,000 per employee, with up to $50,000 being awarded per employer. So up to 10 employee training programs. You do have to retain the employee for 6 months. That isn't, again, that unusual with training grants. They do require you to retain the employee, or require sometimes a wage increase once the training is done. The Michigan Supplier Conversion Training Program, this one is just coming out. This is a brand new grant program in the state of Michigan. This is to help small and mid-sized automotive manufacturers shift from internal combustion engine production to materials and equipment needed to address the electric vehicle supply chain. So this is for retrofitting of manufacturing facilities, any kind of equipment, fixed assets, machinery, technology, training to support that transition is an eligible cost for grant funding. The award sizes are expected to be very large, between $500,000 and $2 million. There is a notice of intent that is due on Monday, November 10th. So if any of you have take a part in the combustion engine supply chain and you know you're going to have to do some retrofits to address the needs of the electric vehicle sector, this would be a great program for you if you're in Michigan. So here's a case study. We did work with Kathy Dolan and Calumet Foundry. The Made in Illinois grant was released in the spring of 2025. And this is a grant that comes around usually about every year in the spring. This grant provides up to $50,000 in matching funds. So again, they require a cash match that is equal to the amount of the grant from the company that's applying for strategic technological advancements. And Kathy had done some previous equipment purchases to help modernize her facility. So she contacted us after we spoke at the NFFS Summit Industry Conference last year, and she asked for help coaching her through the application process. So as a result, Kathy's company received over $30,000 to fund her past equipment purchases in June of 2025, which we're always happy to hear that our clients are getting money because that just means that there's more jobs to come, there's more investment to come. Anytime our clients get money, we know it results in really good things for that client and for the communities that they're in. So I did ask Kathy for a description of the project in her own words, and she said, "With the help of Lakeview Consulting, I've received over $30,000 in grants, with more to be determined." She's not done working with us yet. "The whole experience was pleasant and minimally invasive. As far as your time, the investment has been well worth it, and I've enjoyed working with Mickey and her staff." So we love to hear that. We love to hear their clients are happy with us.
Mickey, I also like to give a live testimonial
Mhm.
because NIFS itself, we applied for a grant from the ATI Foundation to be able to
Right.
really, I think, do something that's going to be able to help all of metal casting. And it was a $75,000 grant. We received approval. We're just waiting for the funding, but really your office helped us. We had a lot of ideas going in a lot of different directions. And you said to us, put in this order, do it this way, provide some actual numbers and do a little bit more research and provide some facts and figures. And, we got a notice back saying how much they really appreciated, our grant
Yep.
proposal and they want to fund it.
Yep. That's
So
which is awesome. Yeah,
yeah, and
that's incredible.
that came from us just asking for a little bit of help and less than
Hmm.
an hour of your time,
Yep.
boom, this,
Yep. Yep.
helped us to get $75,000 to the association.
Yep. Which is great. I mean, I love to hear that. Like I said, I love my job because you directly see the impacts of companies and associations getting these grants. And there's nothing that I like more than when a client says, "Hey, we got this grant. We're so grateful." They're so grateful and so appreciative. All we're doing is providing expertise that they didn't have, and what I've learned running a business is if I'm not good at something, I go out and ask people, that know
Yeah.
how to do it, that are much smarter than me. So I tell our clients, we do what we do best, so you can go and do what you do best, which is running your companies. You don't have the time or the resources a lot of times to go out and look for these grants. So this is a nice segue into the
Yeah.
membership grant program because this will allow national the Non-Ferrous Founders Society members to get access to our free manufacturing grants database, which will be embedded on the NFFS website. Members will have monthly office hours, just where you can get on the phone with me or one of my team members to ask questions about grants. Anything you might want to know. Maybe you found a grant and you don't know if you're a good fit, and we can help you kind of work through that and see if you are a good fit. We also are providing NFFS members a 10% discounts on our manufacturing memberships. So those memberships are in three tiers with anywhere from 10 to 30 consulting hours per year. Those consulting hours can be used for review of applications, vetting applications against your project to see if your project's a good fit, um, or consulting with you on, like we did with NFFS, just looking at your application and saying this is how you can make it better. So that's what the consulting hours can be used for. And then a 5 to 6% discount depending on the tier on standalone projects. Those include customized research, core business document development, so things like business plans and strategic plans, market research, and application development. So any of our standalone projects. Also, we will be offering in the near future roundtable and panel events with some of our partners. For example, we have an apprenticeship partner. We have a partner that does tax credits and another one that does new market tax credits specifically. So some really great roundtable and panel events that NFFS members will be able to attend. And then access to a resource library with grant templates, on-demand webinars, and we are working on a partner directory. So maybe you need a consultant to help you with culture. We'll have one of those on that partner directory. So it'll be a great way for you to get access to resources you need to really grow and succeed. So I'm going to take you through the grants database right now. It's very, very easy to use. It is sortable by state and by type of opportunity. So if you look
Um,
right here,
yeah, maybe it's going to take us through the live database so you can
yep,
see
yep,
how to access by state or federal or what's available. So she's going to show this
right.
right now, how this is being done.
Right. So this is the grants database. This is the only database of its kind. It tracks state, federal, and national grants and regional grants. So if you are in the state of New York, for example, this will just show you in the state of New York, there's 26 opportunities in the state of New York. You can also do this month. So this month, if you apply that, there's been no new opportunities this month. So if you go back to fixed and go back to beginning of the year, there we go, and apply. So now we're looking at 8 that have been released since the beginning of 2025. So there's one that has to do with dispensaries, one that's a New York State Innovation Matching Grant Program. This is an example of, this is for companies that are applying for SBIR and STTR funding. It provides matching funds. There's more and more states that are going on that bandwagon as well. On the job training, so this is a grant that is usually available in almost every state through the WIOAs or America Job Centers. It funds new hires and half of their wages for the first 6 months. There's a couple of dairy product grants. So dairy processor modernization grant is one, and the organic dairy product promotion grant is another. And then in April, large scale thermal came out. So this is actually for decarbonization of large single buildings and multiple building projects. New York has a nice set of grants. So catalyzing regional dairy, another dairy one, Grow New York, which is for startups in New York. So those are the grants that are available in the state of New York. Now, if you want to look at the federal grants, and this is updated, by the way, um, on a monthly basis. So we review all the opportunities that flow into here and make sure they're still available, make sure that there aren't any new opportunities that we need to include in here. Also, the people that register for this free version of the database get a monthly newsletter with targeted opportunities in various states. So any new opportunities are in that monthly newsletter. So this one at the federal level, there was this CHIPS Research and Development Office broad agency announcement. So this is, again, a very broad set of topics. So you can see federal opportunities and state opportunities. So it's really easy to use. You can also, if you want to, you can subscribe to the premium version. The difference is that the premium version has the website, it has the award amounts, it has contact information for the funders, and that is $25 a month if you want to subscribe to that. You can also click here to schedule a call with me or one of my team members. So there is that option as well in here. So I'm going to stop sharing and go
So
back
then, Mickey, if
to.
you were to say, as we're transitioning back into the slides, um, that if one of our members is not really sure, they see something they think they might qualify for, but they're not really sure, that's also a great opportunity to reach out to you to say, hey, we think we might qualify for this grant. We're not sure. This is what we do. Should we apply? And I think that with your
Right, right.
expertise,
Yes,
you
you
can
can.
easily help
Yes,
them.
yes, yes, exactly. So that is something that we do for all of our clients, but and something we'll definitely offer up to the members of NFFS. You can click that schedule a call with me button, and you can talk to us at any time about, like Bill said, you see a grant that you think might be of interest, but you want more details. You want to know if you really can apply for it. You see maybe a set of grants that fit a project that you're looking at. We're happy to have those conversations at no cost and no obligation to any manufacturer, and especially NFFS members. So, Bill, I think we'll talk about some questions now.
Yeah. Well, why don't we go back? If you can share again the PowerPoint
Oh,
so we
yeah.
can.
Oh, wait a minute. Just keep. Um, okay.
So as we were talking, the one key thing for our members is if you're not really sure, you look at something, do I qualify? Do I not qualify? Should I do this? You have the experts right here in Mickey who can help you out and do this also. There's also other ways that you can find out more information. Mickey, I know you do a lot on LinkedIn and
Yes, I
updating
do.
stories.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Yes, I
And
post every day on LinkedIn. And I put new grant opportunities out there. I put information out there. Our website is also a great source of information for any manufacturer. We've got articles on there, dozens of articles on any question you might have as a manufacturer looking for grants. We have newsletters. We have a newsletter that you can subscribe to that's completely free. I release it every 3 weeks. So there's a lot of opportunities for clients, with no cost and totally free to find out a lot about grants right there on our website, which is lakeviewconsulting.net.
now, one of the things also you said earlier about a lot of the grant opportunities out there that companies need to put a little skin in the game if they're going
Yep,
to
yep,
apply. But some of that
yep.
skin in the game could be doing education and training, having the mentors, it might not necessarily be dollars, but showing a
Right,
commitment of time as well.
right, right. Yes, that's called in kind. So basically, sometimes funders will allow certain types of activities to be counted toward in kind. So let's say you get a $500,000 grant and you're going to do $300,000 in cash, but the other $200,000 is going to be in, like Bill said, the training with the equipment or the, any kind of labor associated with the project. Maybe you're doing an internal installation of the equipment, so your maintenance people have time, and your internal building staff has time, and your admin people have time. So if it's an eligible cost for in-kind match for that funder, they can allow that, so you don't have to put up as much cash to match that. That's commonly done. Yes.
And even though most of the grants and opportunities are you're going to find in this database, there are some that might be given out through your local manufacturing extension partnership or some of your
Right.
local workforce investment board. And again, even if it's not on this grant database, but you hear of a grant opportunity, to reach out to Mickey to say,
Right.
hey,
Right.
how can we qualify for these funds?
Right. Right. And like I said, we update that every month, but again, I can't stress enough. This landscape changes every day. Every day there's something new that's with regards to grants. Some good news, some not so good news like today. But it's just a constantly changing landscape. And the more that you can stay on top of it yourself, either through the database or through just looking at what your state offers, maybe you'll get an email from somebody one day that says, hey, we're offering this grant to fund, equipment, and it's not anything that's been put out there publicly. What I tell clients is the more you can be in touch with your local congressman, your state legislators in particular, the more you will find out about grant opportunities. So many of their office staff will keep constituents informed on grant opportunities that can fit them.
Yeah, so I mean, we're actually recording this on Manufacturing Day.
Hmm.
So, as you mentioned, a great way to get top of mind for the people who are doing the funding is invite them to come see who you are. Making sure your
Absolutely.
local MEP, Manufacturing
Hmm.
Extension Partnership, has come out and come visit your foundry, making sure
Hmm.
that your local congressman, state representative, state senator,
Yep. Yep.
invite them to come out to see who you are and what you do, regardless of
Right.
your size.
Right, right. And that's what I think is really great about that is a lot of the legislators don't know what manufacturers do. I found that to be the case over and over. They know that a manufacturing exists in their district, but they don't know what that company actually does. And I found that the legislators like coming out to manufacturers as much as the manufacturers like having them in. I mean, they're incredibly interested in what companies in their district are doing. And I can't emphasize enough that having those people in can be extremely beneficial to your business. They tend to remember you once they've been to your facility. So whether that means that you get notification of a grant earlier than other people do, whether that means that you're put on a listserv where you get notified when grants are available, any of those things can be very beneficial to companies looking for funding. So,
And again, grants that are out there could be changing out your old lights and making sure you have
right,
LEDs.
right,
It
right.
could, there's a whole host. Of course, to me, workforce is to
Yep,
my
yep,
heart. And
yep.
I always like to say almost every state or your areas has reimbursement if you're going to be doing online training for your
Right,
employees.
right,
Um,
right. Yes.
Hiring a military person to come and work for you and you can pay for the training that,
Right,
you know,
right,
there might be something you say, oh, it's going to cost us $4,000 for this program. Most likely it's only going to cost you $2,000 or even have
right,
it all
right,
free.
right. And that's a great point too. Hiring like military veterans, people off of welfare rolls, even hiring people that have been in jail for non-violent offenses can all be triggers for increased amounts of funding, especially through those WIOA centers, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act centers or job centers are called in some states. They will often incentivize at higher levels for these special populations, people that are transitioning out of the military, people that are um, they even have special grant programs in some states for those types of people as well. So,
So if we were to say it never hurts to ask.
nope, nope. If you don't
Uh,
ask, you don't get, right?
yeah. Because there's other people that are going to be doing this.
Right, right.
And a lot of these grants are for small to medium sized companies, are
Yes,
for those
yes.
under 1,000 employee companies.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
usually then the bigger boys, they gobble them up because they have the time to be able to apply. But
Mm-hmm.
again, we have Mickey now. We don't have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
worry about, we can compete with the larger, our smaller foundries can compete with the larger companies
Right.
out there.
Right. And the funding is really meant for smaller companies. They are the backbone of manufacturing in many states. Um, every state, really. Without the smaller manufacturing companies, the bigger ones wouldn't be in existence for sure. So, I don't, what I like to do is I like to help anybody in the manufacturing sector find and access grants because it's going to fund your success, very simply.
And I always like to say to people, even if you don't get the grant the first time,
Hmm.
what you have created though, when working with Mickey and her group, is you have a great template
Sure.
for future ones, and
Hmm.
that you can make it easier. But also, one of the things is if you don't get the grant, you can call the people up and say, so why didn't I get it? And
Right,
get the
right.
feedback, right?
Right, right, exactly. Yes. And we often recommend that companies do that if they don't get, because the funders will generally give them very good feedback and say, your project didn't align in these areas. You asked for costs that were not eligible. Your even things as simple as you went over the page limit. So we turned away your grant application. So the seemingly very small things really do make a difference when it comes to grants. The font size, the number of pages that you put in, you really have to follow the funders requirements exactly. And that is a role that we play a lot of times as well with clients is we will review the grant application and say, okay, here's some key things that you need to remember. I was just reviewing the Kentucky grant application with a potential client this morning, and They have to be under 500 employees company wide. They have to be using the grant for one piece of equipment and the costs associated with that equipment. So there's every grant has their own little things that companies can miss if they're actually trying to do this on their own.
So what, Mickey, how's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So yeah, so this is I do have the QR code here that you can scan, and that takes you to the contact form on my website. That's probably the easiest way other than being in the grants database and hitting that schedule a call button, same thing. We do four different types of services. We do ongoing grant consulting. That's for clients that want to commit to a funding plan and executing that funding plan and getting our help with that. We wrap a lot of services into that ongoing grant consulting as well. Our coaching services, which again, through our memberships, you have access to the coaching services, but this is to help companies with a little less budget for our services actually get the assistance from our expertise that larger companies do. Also, the membership plans, like I said, there's three tiers of membership plans the manufacturers can engage with us in. And then finally, the standalone services. We talked about that before. Writing one application, helping you with customized research, helping you with market research. So a lot of companies that are coming into the United States that are expanding are looking for maybe different states to go into. So we do a lot of investment comparisons or incentive comparisons. We do a lot of market research and that type of thing to help them expand and grow into other states.
And if you don't want to take your phone right over to the slide, it's just
Mhm.
go to lakeviewconsulting.net,
Right.
or the contact information is also on the NIST website under membership services. You'll find where there is for the grant resources, and it's right there as well. It can take you right over there. Mickey, thank you so much. Really,
Thank you, Bill.
truly appreciate this. We are so looking forward to our members to utilize this really member benefit. And again, as we
Yep.
talked about it, the the opportunity, the money is there and they want to give it to you. These
Yes.
dollars, workforce, these expansion, everything is there because the dollars are there because your state, the federal government want manufacturing to succeed. And the only way you can get this money is if you ask for it. And
Right.
Mickey is here to help you to make sure how you can obtain it, whether you qualify for it, and then to help you, again, as she said, to provide the plan and provide um, the resources and some of the templates and some of the things that you want to put into your application in order to be able to qualify. But again, first thing to do is take a look at the grant database, see what's out there, see what's available to you, reach out to your local representatives out there, have them come visit you,
Yeah.
talk to them about what you need to be able to improve your business, and maybe something will be created to help you out.
Right.
But
Right.
again, if you stay on the sidelines, someone else is going to take the ball and run with
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. I can't
So,
agree more, Bill. Thank
yes,
you.
thank you very much, and everyone here. Again, Bill Padness with NIST in charge of workforce development. Here's another program, another benefit that we want you to take advantage of. So please do so. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.